Hello everyone, and welcome to my top 10 reads of 2025. I am so excited to be sharing all these books with you because they are all rated 5 stars for me. I loved each of these books so much and I am so excited to share them with you. If you don't know, my name is Lindsay. I post all kinds of bookish content, reading vlogs, TBRs, favorite books, and I also have a book talk as well if you want to go and follow that and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content because I'll be posting so much in 2026 to help motivate you to read and get to all of your reading goals or start your new reading hobby, because it is just so much fun and you can find some amazing books like I did. So in 2025 I read 62 books and that is really good for me. That is the most I have read since graduating college, and I graduated almost 5 years ago, which is just crazy to say. But of those 62 books, these are my top 10 favorites. The top 5 I really don't have like a particular order for them, but the ones before that are kind of like in order. But these are all just books that have stuck with me throughout this whole year, and I'll be continuing to recommend all of these books for years to come because I love them so much. I will hopefully be rereading them at some point. But yes, let's get into it and let's talk about all my favorite books that I read in 2025. So coming in at number 10, I have Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. This is the prequel to Divine Rivals and it was just released in 2025, and I loved this book so much. Rebecca Ross just has the most beautiful writing that I've ever read. It is very poetic, but this book doesn't really follow any of the characters in Divine Rivals. This is a new kind of set of characters, and this book follows a messenger goddess that isn't in Divine Rivals, and she is a new goddess that is kind of trying to find her way in this corrupt world of other gods and goddesses. And then our male main character, he is a human. He lives in the human realm, but he has dreams of this messenger goddess and prays to her and asks for her help because he is kind of in his own war with the people that he lives with. And this book just really blew me away with the writing. I loved all of Divine Rivals, but this one is definitely my favorite. And this Barnes & Noble exclusive edition is just really beautiful. I love the inside covers. I love that this cover, it just shows them so perfectly. And this book, I think I'm going to recommend for a really long time. It was an easy 5 stars for me. I loved the audiobook version of this as well. I kind of listened and read at the same time, so I recommend the audiobook as well. I recommend the Divine Rivals duology as well to read along with this. I think if I were you and you haven't read Divine Rivals, I would read those two first. Those are 2 young adult novels and this is an adult novel, so there is kind of like an age range in there. And I hope to read more of Rebecca Ross's writing in the future because she is just really incredible and I loved it so much. Coming in at number 9, I have If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia. Oh my gosh, you guys, I loved this book so much, and I really think that it got me kind of out of my summer reading slump. There were a few other books that I read that were really good in the summer, but this book really took me by surprise when I read it in September, and I highly recommend that you read this book in the fall of 2026. You can read it at any time, but it kind of takes place over Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, so it is just the most perfect fall read, and it is one of the most perfect romances that I have literally ever read. It follows our female main character. She is going through a divorce. Her mother just passed away, so she takes over her mom's bed and breakfast in this small town, and our male main character is a baker in the small town. He has 2 daughters and he is also divorced, but he's just like a really fun kind of golden retriever type guy, and basically he kind of helps her with the bed and breakfast and they become really good friends, and it is just the most wholesome and sweetest story that I have read in such a long time. It also takes place in the fall of 1997. If you are someone that gets a lot of nostalgia from that time, like, this is the perfect book for you. It also just felt like a early 2000s rom-com movie, and I loved it so much. And if you have not read this, definitely read this in the fall. I honestly think I'm going to reread this book this fall because that's how much I loved it, and it just gave me the most perfect fall vibes. For number 8, I have Heartless Hunter by Kristen Ciercarelli and the sequel, which is Rebel Witch. I don't own the sequel. I read it on my Kindle, but I do own the first book, and so I really want to buy the second book because I loved both of these books so much. It is just a duology, so both of them are out and you can read both of them. I originally rated this book like 4 to 4.5 stars, but because I have kept thinking about it, I read it last February, and the fact that it has like not left my mind since, it is definitely now a 5-star read for me, and it definitely deserves to be in my top 10 favorite books because I just really love this story. This is a romantasy and it's kind of like a game of cat and mouse. So our female main character, she is a witch in hiding, and then our male main character is a witch hunter, and since she's a witch in hiding, she works for all these witch hunters, so that a way she can see which witches they're hunting and then she can go and help save them. And he is onto her and he's trying to figure out what she is doing and what role she is playing when all these witches are kind of getting away from the hunters. There was such good yearning in this book. This world was very unique. I have never read anything like this. It made me really obsessed obsessed with reading books about witches, and you don't need to read this book like in the fall time. Like I read this in February and I really loved it, and I highly recommend that you read this book in 2026 if you haven't yet, because I just really cannot stop thinking about it. The writing was very strong and the world building was really strong as well. And I just really enjoyed the romance and thought it was really cute. This is technically a YA novel. I don't think I necessarily agree with the fact that this is YA. I don't think younger teenagers should read this, but older teenagers and adults alike would really love this book just as much as I did, and highly recommend it. For number 7, I have Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. Oh my god, I knew that this book was going to absolutely break my heart, but I truly did not expect this ending at all. I knew that I was going to be sobbing. I knew that because of the way Haymitch is and the rest of the Hunger Games series that this book was going to probably break me, but it definitely broke me even more than I possibly could have thought. It's a 5-star read for me, and I'm going to obviously always recommend the Hunger Games trilogy to everyone because it's one of the best trilogies that I've ever read. And I think I read the Hunger Games series originally when I was 12 years old, so it's been 13 years since I've read the Hunger Games trilogy, and I still obviously love it, love all the movies, and I know that this movie is going to be nothing short of amazing. You should definitely read the book before you see the movie. I honestly haven't read the other book, which is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I haven't read that one. I saw the movie, but this one you are for sure definitely going to want to read because it gives you such a good backstory of Haymitch, and he is one of my most favorite characters in the Hunger Games. So this book follows Haymitch going into the 50th Hunger Games, the second quarter quell, where there is double the amount of contestants, and you get to see his journey. I don't want to give too much away. Obviously, if you've seen the Hunger Games or read the Hunger Games, you know that he has a lot of trauma. So you get to see all of that trauma in this book, and I cannot wait for the movie. I know that it's going to break my heart as much as the book did, but yes, highly recommend and loved it. For number 6, I have an entire series that I read and binged in 2025 back in March, and then the 5th book came out in May, which is the Windy City series by Liz Tomforty. I love this series with my whole heart. It is probably my most favorite interconnected romance series that I've ever read, and I think it's going to stay up there for a really long time. I don't think anything is going to top this series. Every single book in this series is a sports romance. So you have hockey, you have baseball, you have basketball. They're all really sweet and wholesome. The first book isn't my most favorite. I still really liked it. I rated it 4 stars, but every single book after that is a 5-star book for me. I think my favorites out of the whole series were The Right Move, Caught Up, and Rewind It Back. It's very much like a found family. Like you read all these characters and you see each couple in the next book, and it kind of just starts to feel like a family to you, and it feels like they're your friends as well. And I love each and every one of these characters, loved every single book. Every book was 4 stars or higher. Most of them were all 5 stars. And I cannot wait to read more from Liz Tomforty. There's going to be a spin-off book of 2 characters that were in this series that she is writing and releasing in 2026. So I cannot wait to read that. And there are definitely some characters in these books that I could see her writing a whole new series about. And I cannot wait to read those. And I'm just so excited about these books. I get so giddy thinking about these books. And if you have not read them, definitely add them to your TBR in 2026. Because you will not be disappointed. So now we're getting into my top 5 reads of 2025, and these are kind of like in no particular order. Some of them are much better writing than others, but that doesn't really change the fact that I love them and rated them all 5 stars, and they are just my particular favorite. They may not be your particular favorites, but all of them I highly recommend. All of them I love so much. All of them I cannot stop thinking about, and I cannot wait to share them with you. Coming in at number 5, I have Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. I own this book. I have no idea where it's at right now. Even though Fourth Wing is one of my most favorite and most beloved series, I don't know where it's at right now. It is currently sitting in a box. So I know Onyx Storm gets a lot of hate and a lot of people did not like it, but I personally really loved Onyx Storm. I thought it was such an amazing book. Yes, it did kind of feel like a middle book. It is the 3rd book in the Fourth Wing series, and there's going to be 5 books, so it does kind of feel like a middle book, but for me it is a 5-star read. I loved it so much. The Fourth Wing follows our female main character Violet, and she is set to be a scribe in this romantasy series, but then when her father passes away and her mom is kind of taking over, her mom basically forces her to go to this war college to become a dragon rider, and you get to see her on all of her journey. There is a man at the college that her whole family tells her to stay away from. Obviously, if you've read it, you know that they cannot stay away from each other, and it is a very fun romantasy series that is very high stakes. There's dragons dragons, there's a war going on, and I love this series so much. Cannot wait for Rebecca Yarros to release the 4th book, and I hope that you love them as much as I do. I totally get it if you don't, but I hope that me adding this book to this list does not deter you from watching the rest of this video, because I have a few other amazing books to share with you that I think you're going to like, even if you did not like Onyx Storm like I did. Coming in at number 4, I have One Dark Window and its sequel, Two Twisted Crowns, which are written by Rachel Gillick, and I love this duology so much. It is such a unique magic system. It's also romantasy, so there is some romance thrown in there as well, and I love them both so much. I love Two Twisted Crowns even more than I loved One Dark Window, and I highly recommend that you read these 2 books if you haven't yet, because they are definitely worth the hype. This book follows our female main character Elspeth, and she lives in this world called Blunder, and they are controlled by these magical playing cards, but they've all been kind of dispersed throughout the world, and so a lot of people are looking for these playing cards, and our female main character actually has a nightmare living inside of her body, so she is kind of also on the hunt to find these playing cards so that way she can get the nightmare out of her. She then one day meets up with this highwayman who is also looking for all of the cards because his little brother also has something wrong with him, and so they are both on this hunt to find all these cards so that way they can fix Elspeth and the man's little brother, and it just takes you on this incredible journey, and I just love both of these books so much. It was so unique, so interesting, and I highly recommend that you read them. And Rachel Gillick has another duology. The first book has already come out, and then I think the second book comes out in the fall time, or maybe September or August, and I cannot wait to read those, but I'm definitely going to wait until the second book comes out, because if it's anything like One Dark Window, I know that I'm going to be left on a cliffhanger and I'm going to want the second book right away. So waiting on those. It looks a little dark and gothic and mysterious, but there were still like funny moments in this book that really kind of helped bring you out of like the darkness of the story, and I really loved it, so highly recommend. For number 3, it is the longest book that I read all year, and it is Alchemised by SenLinYu. This book is over 1,000 pages, and when I first started reading it, I honestly did not think that I was going to love it as much as I did, but it really blew me away and took me by surprise about how much I really enjoyed this book, and it became one of my most favorite books of all time. Oh my god, you guys, it was just so good. This book is the now published version of Manacled, which the author wrote as a Harry Potter fan fiction on Wattpad like a really long time ago, and it has gained so much attention. The author was kind of given this chance to traditionally publish it, but she had to change out all the character names, had to change the worlds, so that way she wasn't copywriting Harry Potter. I've actually never read Manacled. I've heard absolutely amazing things about it, but I've only read Alchemized, and I really loved Alchemized. So it follows our female main character Helena, and she is a prisoner of war, and she is just trying to figure out why she is a prisoner, because she lost the past 2 years of her memory. She has magical powers, and it is a world of alchemy and necromancy, and so you kind of see how all of that plays into the war, and you see kind of how the necromancers want to basically take over the world. You do have like the Voldemort type character in it, you have a Draco character, and then Helena is our Hermione character, and it just was really incredible. The writing in the world was insane to me, and you get a mix of Harry Potter and The Handmaid's Tale in it. Honestly, like, I did picture my Harry Potter characters in it, but it really is nothing like Harry Potter, and I really thought that this author just did an amazing job of creating this whole new world, even though the original story was based off Harry Potter. I definitely still kind of want to read Manacled at some point, because I've had a lot of people tell me that they really loved it, and they loved kind of being back in that Harry Potter world. So I think I'll definitely read it at some point, but highly recommend Alchemized. I feel like saying that I loved it is almost like a wrong thing to say, because it had that Handmaid's Tale type kind of vibe to it, but I loved it, and it really had an amazing message to it. Kind of honestly changed my life, and it's made me want to read The Handmaid's Tale, so I think that's something that I definitely want to try to do in 2026. I also really want to reread Harry Potter as well, but there's so many other books that I want to read that rereading a whole big long series seems very daunting. And then if you are going to read Alchemized, definitely check your trigger warnings, because if you know anything about The Handmaid's Tale, that there is a lot of trigger warnings in that as well, but also just the world in general and kind of like the torturing and the killing in this book could definitely be very traumatizing as well. So definitely look into your trigger warnings, but again, highly recommend. Loved it so much. For number 2, I have Beartown by Fredrik Backman. I read this book at the beginning of December, and it was just so good. I honestly, the first 50% of the book, I did not think I was going to like this book at all. I honestly thought I was going to DNF it. I did not understand the hype. And then that 50% mark hit, and I was like, holy crap. I totally see why this book is so hyped, why I think that this is going to change my life, because it just took the most crazy turn at that 50% mark, and I was like, oh my god, Was not expecting this at all. This is a series and I read the first book so far. I actually just started listening to the second book on audiobook today and I'm already so excited to be back in this world with these characters. But it follows this whole large cast of characters in this small town called Beartown, and they're basically surrounded by this hockey team and they're like at high school age and they're all obsessed with this hockey team because it's kind of the only thing that brings success and togetherness in this town. You follow like parents, you follow the hockey players, you follow other students at their school, and basically what happens is there's this like kind of big event slash tragedy and you see how each of these characters kind of reacts to that tragedy or how they cope with that tragedy and the things that they say and the things that they do. Really liked it and I thought it was an incredible read. I don't want to give anything else away, but just know that I loved this book so much and I cannot wait to continue the series. Okay, now we have our number one book, our number one spot, and it is My Friends by Fredrik Backman. And this was one of the last books that I read in 2025. And I think that this book is going to stick with me for the rest of my life. It was really that incredible. And the fact that Fredrik Backman takes two of my top two spots just really says so much about him and his writing because they blew me away, and the fact that these are literary fiction books taking my top two spots and not like a romantasy is surely unheard of in my life because I hardly ever dive out of romance and romantasy, but these were just incredible. And especially My Friends, I was blown away by this story. It follows our main character Louisa, and she is an orphan. Her best friend just died, and so she is kind of running from her foster family because she hates it. She's also a painter and she is obsessed with this painting, and there's an auction going on in her town of famous paintings, and so she breaks into this auction to just see this painting. She doesn't want to buy it, she has no money, she just wants to see it in person for the first time. She gets caught, she runs away, she actually finds the artist of the painting, and she basically takes this journey to find out the meaning behind the painting, and you basically get this whole story of friendship and grief and loss and how it affects everyone. And I really loved it, and just the topics of grief in this book really helped heal something inside of me, and the topics of friendship as well. But the topics of grief are handled so well in this book and I really loved it. I think that this is a life-changing book and Fredrik Backman has become one of my most favorite authors. I cannot wait to read more from him and I really loved it. Again, highly recommend, just like any other book on this list. But if you take anything from this list, it's this book. Like, this book is for everyone, every type of reader. Anyone who loves a story of friendship will love this book, and yeah, love it. And it definitely just, anytime I think about it, I'm just like pulled at my heartstrings because I loved it so much, and definitely going to be recommending this for probably the rest of my life. That's how much I loved it. That's my list of my top 10 favorite books of 2025. I hope that you found a book in here that you want to read, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!